Question: what is better, having two dedicated bikes, one for road, one for adventures, or having one bike that does everything? I don't have the answer to this. In fact, I have a bit of a dilemma. I don't know which path to go down. So the situation is that I have currently two bikes. I have a dedicated road bike, my MT-09, that I've had since 2017. It is approaching 50,000 Ks at the moment. I did initially ride it every day. It was my daily. However, at the moment, I'm not really riding it every day. It's probably sitting there most of the time. My other bike, of course, is my Tenere 660, 2011. It's a few years old now. Also has 54,000 Ks on it. So again, both bikes have a number of Ks on them, but it is a dedicated adventure bike. So that has pros and cons. However, one option, if you consider both those bikes fit within a 20K budget, the alternative is you could buy a brand new Tenere 700 for the same amount of money. So which one is the better option? So here's a couple of things that I'm thinking about. One is the road bike has road tires on it and the dirt bike has dirt tires on it. There's not a compromise on the dirt. So if I go to one bike, that means I have to compromise on the tire. It has to be able to do my daily riding if I'm going into the city and doing that sort of stuff, but it also needs to be great in the dirt at the same time. So that is a big advantage of having two separate bikes, is I can have dedicated dirt tires on the dirt bike. Now, another advantage of having two separate bikes means that if on our adventures I break something, I'm not breaking the bike that I'm going to ride into the city the next day. It's kind of like taking your road car to a track and having a track day and then wanting to drive it home after you've put it in the wall. The downside of having two bikes is that means I've got double the cost when it comes to registration and insurance. So by going down to a single bike means that I can reduce the cost ongoing. However, if you go over 1200cc, green slip costs are insane, but under 1200, it means that it's actually okay. So it's not a huge cost. We're talking like a couple $100 a year. So I'd be saving, roughly around $500 a year. Now, the other big downside is space in the garage. It's one of my greatest frustrations of where we live. We only have a 2-car garage. We have 2 cars in the garage, neither of which we want to put outside. We like our cars. I spend a lot of time doing polishing and making sure the cars are perfect. So I do not want to put my cars outside, either of them. Particularly mine has 30-year-old red paint. That's not going to last long in the sun. And I don't want to put the bikes outside either because bikes get stolen. So all of those 4 vehicles need to fit in the garage, which is a big problem. Now, the other option, if I do sell both those bikes and then buy a Tenere 700, for example, or some alternative, there's a couple of advantages that come with that. One is, as I said, cheap costs, but the other is a newer bike. Right? It might not be brand new, but it's at least going to be newer. So I've got 2 bikes that calculate a total of over 100,000 Ks, but one bike with a few thousand kilometers on it is much easier to maintain. There's also this nice thing about having your bike and it being that regardless of whether you're going into the city or you're going on big adventures, it's your one steed that goes with you. It's your one fellow adventurer. I remember an uncle of mine once said, you should never get emotionally attached to vehicles. I completely and totally disagree. I think you should get emotionally attached to vehicles. I think if you're not getting emotionally attached to your vehicle, then you're missing out on something and you're missing the whole point. It is your adventure machine. It is your thing that takes you on adventures. Even the concept of selling either of those 2 bikes actually upsets me. I don't want to sell either of those 2 bikes. I am emotionally attached to both of them. So there's a logical part of my brain going, it would make sense just to have one bike that does both activities. However, my emotional part of my brain goes, I love my bikes and I don't want to sell them. So the MT is fantastic in the city and in the traffic because it's so agile and nimble. However, forcing myself to do that on an adventure bike may seem a little crazy. I only go into the city like a couple of times a month, so it's not like it's all the time. But it means you get used to that bike. So then when I take it on an adventure, I'm already used to it. So there's another advantage there. It also means that bike is set up to be comfortable. So the MT-09 over long distances is not very comfortable. Tenere 700 with a nice comfort seat probably would be a lot more comfortable even on long distance rides that are totally sealed. If I do a totally sealed ride down, say, just to pick something, Alpine Road, for example, that's a pretty nice bike to be sitting on for, hundreds of kilometers. So I'm undecided. I don't know, and I'd love your thoughts. What would you do in this situation? Would you sell both your bikes, both your dedicated road and dirt bikes, and buy one do everything bike, or keep the two dedicated bikes? Which is better? I don't know. What's your thoughts? I'd love to hear. So there you have it. That's the pros and cons I can think of. Can you think of any others? I'd love to know what you think. Do you have any other concepts I need to think about when I'm thinking about either one or two bikes? What would you do in this situation? Would you sell both the bikes and buy one, or would you stay with the two? Have many bikes, lots of bikes. If I had the garage space, I would have infinite bikes. Who wouldn't? Just a quick update too, we just got back from a ride. This is just a really rough cut behind me of the ride we just went on. We did the reverse of the Yarranderi trip, so went up Wombian Caves Road, up Range Fire Trail, and down to Dingo Dell and around to Boyd River campsite. It was really, really freaking cold, so that video is coming soon. Anyway, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you next time.